people were dressing up for this movie in costumes, so it's really hard for officers to try to figure out exactly who is doing this whole thing. Obviously, they have a suspect in custody now, which is the good news, but so many people were dressed up in costumes out here at this movie theater. We'll take a look over here. We want to give you a good look. What did you hear and see?
Well, basically, we were out front, and then we were all standing there talking, and then next thing you know, we heard like a boom.
Police allowed us to come up into the parking lot, the south end of the parking lot, that they have most of it blocked off. You folks were just talking about that a short time ago, about how they need to block this off because there were concerns over devices. You hear that noise? I'm going to be quiet for a second and just listen into this noise. That alarm. That's the alarm that has been going off since around 1 o'clock in the morning when folks had to evacuate here. All of a sudden, an officer ran in with a gun, and he told everybody to get out of there.
I want to go back live to the scene of this shooting now, that Century Theater complex in Aurora, Colorado. KUSA's Kevin Torres is there. Kevin, good morning to you. What more can you add?
Well, Matt, good morning. You heard there from Pete a short time ago about the detonators, the possibility of detonators out there in the parking lot. And because of that, all the vehicles were left up there and people had to evacuate.
Kevin Torres is a reporter with USA-9NEWS in Denver. He's on the scene at the Century Theater in Aurora, the parking lot outside it. What can you tell us? What new information have you learned in the last few minutes?
Well, Chuck, good morning. Perhaps the word that folks out here are using this morning is chaotic. That's what they described when they were inside the theater. We talked with a number of folks who were not only inside but outside the time when they heard the gunfire go off. One man said that he heard more than 50 gunshots within a 10-minute period. At that point, dozens, if not hundreds of people ran out of the theater at once. He says that he saw blood coming down from their face. Suspicion, but we have heard from law enforcement that is something that they are currently looking into as to whether or not it was lightning strike. A lot of folks in this area who live across the street, who I just interviewed a short time ago, said that they saw lightning in that direction earlier today. Obviously, with how dry it is out here and how hot it is, that would certainly cause this thing to light up. But I got to tell you something, this was not like this when I got here about 45 minutes ago. She was the sort of lady who always enjoyed sitting in the first row at church, the sort of person who would finish an entire book in a single reading. There were about 6 detectives in there interviewing them, and one of those students who was interviewed is here with me now. You were about 10 feet away from the gunman when he pulled the trigger. Tell me in detail what went through your mind and what you saw. Well, you know, Kathy, some say that they've already seen 5-foot snowbanks. Now, it's no surprise here. I'm one of the shortest guys in the newsroom, only about 5'6", so I needed a ladder to explain this to you. By the end of the week, folks in Crested Butte and other mountain towns at high elevation could see 6 feet of snow. Now, that is a conservative estimate. In fact, we wanted to show you in the front of our live truck just how much of it has come down, maybe about a ½ an inch in the last hour or so, but this is how much of it we're seeing right here. It is so slushy on the ground that our own photojournalist, my buddy Kevin Sullivan, who's manning the camera right now, slipped and actually fell. So watch yourself. And Kevin, are you doing fine? Just nod if you're doing fine. He's doing fine.
A mother of 2 was one of the victims in the shooting, and many of us remember seeing her mother going to hospitals last Friday looking for her daughter. We have told you about Rebecca Wingo, but needed to tell you a story from her mother tonight. As Kevin Torres reports, Rebecca's story is one everyone can learn from.
Rebecca was a very smart girl.
We tend to define a person by the way they live their life.
She was very creative.
Not so much how they did it.
The how never bothered her.
But what they did with it.
It was the what or the who. She just did.
Rebecca Wingo lived a carefree life.
She lived the most blessed life of anyone I know.
Her mother says her children really helped shape the person she ultimately became.
Rebecca was the fun mom. She was the fun mom. It was constant, I love you. No, I love you more. Oh my gosh. You just can't even talk about the love between those 3 people.
Love.
I got a call at 4:30 in the morning from my son-in-law.
We got another person outside shot in the leg, a female.
That's what brought Shirley out to search for her daughter Friday morning when we first met her.
Okay.
When she first thought her daughter was still alive.
I think it's serious, Rob. I think it's serious. I think she's been shot. We'll find where they're going to be.
Hours had passed, and Shirley began to realize what many parents couldn't bear to imagine. She was notified at a meeting around 4 o'clock.
And we were told there that those of us in that room weren't going to find our relatives and loved ones because they had actually been in the theater all day and were being collected as we spoke and taken to the coroner's office.
There are many things Shirley wishes she could let go of.
and mostly just to not miss her so much, because we do.
But what she will never forget is what she recently learned, to not define her daughter's character by life, but what she did leading up to her death.
Rebecca was facing her shooter. And that's Rebecca. That's Rebecca. If you're gonna shoot me, you're gonna look at me and do it. And I'm so proud of her for the life she lived, for the dignity she died with.
That guy's the 1% right there.
It gets bigger by the day. Hey, you guys know why we're running on the batteries right now?
At the intersection of hope and possibility,
a lot of people have been waving.
An eclectic seed is growing.
I'm from Washington, D.C. I came out here 4 days ago for this.
And growing.
Over and over and over again.
And growing.
I think it could be a little bigger.
Estimates are around 500, 200 of whom stay here overnight. The tent city is so large, a makeshift force has been set up.
This is our place. Make it your own.
Hi.
Protesters are turning into security guards.
Anyone who wears an orange vest needs to go through a simple training
to protect their population from the populations who were here before.
We as these people here have got to band together and say, this is what we expect, this is what is appropriate. If you can't abide by that, please just step to the other side.
It's all about image.
Homeless people and drug dealers have marked this land as their own.
I'm not against the homeless, but I am against it being superseded in the front.
Trying to share it with them isn't the easiest task.
You know, we can't help obnoxious people coming and, you know, doing whatever they do, and we try to contain that and push them away, especially if they're not here for the movement.
So as of Wednesday night, Occupy Denver is looking to double its security.
This is your place. You have the right to clean it up. You have the right to ask people to please respect your right.
They're hoping it will cut down on any problems with the homeless and the dealers.
At the end of the day, there's going to be things that guys like me just can't handle, and you actually have to call police for. And
after all, they have bigger issues to deal with.
I'm here to protect our Constitution.
I've never seen fire move so fast.
It danced with the wind.
I thought the propane tank was gonna go.
And took a hard spill outside the home of Lori Miller's grandma.
I don't know, Grandma. Won't be seeing you looking through the windows at us no more.
Oh, I tell you, it was a bad deal. Any way you look at it, it was bad.
Bad doesn't begin to describe it.
We could hear all the ammunition going off.
Oh, yeah?
And that's when we were out. I don't think it's safe! It smelled like gunpowder so much, and we could hear shells going off. I'm like, okay, you don't know if it's going to go ping, 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 ping this way.
The horses out back hoofed it.
If they would have been under the loafing shed, they would have been gone.
Just as fast as Florence and her family evacuated.
Oh, there comes a plane over. He's probably going to take a picture.
No matter what angle you look at it, you'll never know what was truly lost.
You lived here a long time, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Whole life.
We probably was here for better than 70 years here.
70 years, jeez.
7 decades worth of memories were made here. Weddings happened.
Grandma's rings are in there somewhere.
And loved ones were lost.
I tell you, if he would have been here and seen what, he just would have passed out. It would have just killed him. Because he couldn't have took it.
It's hard to say goodbye to something that is already gone.
But that wire was down. We knew it was live, so we tried to go through there, and the posts were burning.
Now it's about holding on to what is left. Family.
I don't know. It was something.
With photojournalist Kevin Sullivan in Yuma.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable.
This is Kevin Torres, 9 News.
My colleague Kevin Torres spoke with the family of the only person to die as a result of this fire, 52-year-old Linda Stedman. Her family described her as a unique woman, a true character, and an individual.
Absolutely. 62 years old, by the way.
Yes.
Linda Stedman had lived in that ranch for most of her life. She moved there when she was in her 20s and raised cattle there, and she had been raising about 40 head of cattle up until recently. She is the sort of woman who enjoyed living out in the wilderness, being away from everything else. Her story, and everybody has a story, was quite remarkable, especially the beginning and middle. Our story begins outside, because that's where Linda loved to be.
I think she was born during the wrong era. I think really she was in her heart a mountain woman.
She loved her family. They were her life.
She loved her family. She had 3 kids and a bunch of grandkids, and she would have done anything for any of them.
She loved to teach them. After all, she was pretty brilliant.
Her knowledge, she was so intelligent, and she could speak knowledgeably on just about any subject.
about anything and anyone, especially if it involved her ranch.
Her second love was the ranch.
It's there where she tended to her cattle and other animals since she was in her 20s.
The ranch was the right place for her.
Saturday morning, the family was transferring the cattle to U.S. Forest Service land when they noticed the smoke.
She could see the fireball was there. You just think that if a fire is going to happen, that you're going to have enough time to grab things to protect what is yours, and you don't. You just don't. It came so fast.
There was nothing they could do.
It was too late. It was something that probably we'll never talk about again.
Never.
I don't know you can put into words something like that.
You just can't.
She won't be forgotten. So.
And women.
Adele, according to the National Center for Victims of Crime, 3.4 million people are stalked each year. Out of that number, 75% of those people know the person who is stalking them. Vani Flores knew the man who was stalking her because he lived right next door. Her children are hoping a bill they're proposing will become state law.
Where's the puppies?
There are pieces in our lives
This is our blessing.
that hold us together.
She got my mom's green eyes.
Like little dots of glue stuck on a stem. For the Flores family, that little dot is little Maddie.
And she helps Grandpa, huh? You help Grandpa lots, huh?
Just shy of turning 1, she never had a chance to meet her grandma Vani.
She was something, I'll tell you.
Never had a chance to see how silly she was.
She sure had a great sense of humor,
and never had a chance to see how much she cared.
I just miss her. Lots of struggle for me, not being able to share her with my mom.
There are many things Dawn would like to share with her mom now, but on one July day back in 2010, her mother was taken away from her.
She was taken for the most horrible reason. And
a man named Robert Medina had stalked Vani for years. He lived right next door to her.
My mom lived in fear for 5 years before we knew that she could get help, and then it didn't help her.
When police eventually arrested Medina for stalking, he was held in jail for 3 hours before he bonded out. He never had to go before a judge. On top of that, the courts never told Vani about getting a restraining order. She found that out on her own a few days later.
He killed her before he got to court for the restraining order. So there was a hole, and so now we're trying to close that hole.
How they're going to close that hole is by presenting a bill to the state legislature, which would make stalking as serious a crime as domestic violence.
You get a domestic violence charge, you're in jail until you see a judge and there's a restraining order.
This is a battle.
I don't want people to have to live the daily life that we live now without my mom.
A battle Vani's children don't plan to lose.
I want them to be able to trust in the legal system.
Directly after Vani's death, her family blamed the district attorney in Lake County for not helping protect her enough. Immediately after, he changed the stalking laws in Lake County to make a suspect go before a judge, stay in jail for a period of time, as well as provide the victim with a restraining order.
As 9 News storytellers Kevin Torres and Chris Hansen show us, the Caliche Buffaloes made it to the state championship finals this weekend, where they played for their teammate, Cole.
Let's take it to him right from the start.
There they go.
Get around him.
Up the court.
Watch him, Joel. Watch him, Joel.
Moving fast.
Don't be lazy now. Take care of it, all right? Rebound.
Without a care in the world.
Hey, official.
You can't do that.
Let's go rebound right here, all right?
Oh, my gosh. You're not going to call a foul?
The only fouls in this game are coming from the mouths of the fans sitting in the stands.
You can't do that.
AY, get Andrew.
This is a team focused on winning, knowing all too well what it's like to lose.
We had Cole Rhodes that was killed this year in a car accident right after Christmas break. Kids that are 15, 16, 17 years old aren't used to having to deal with that sort of thing.
His teammates were his family.
It was really tough, and it still is.
And from the stands, his mother watched over them like a guardian angel.
I still have that angel. It's in his pocket right now.
She gave Cole that trinket when he was a little boy, and he held on to it till the day he died.
I think he's here. He's watching us. He's helping the team.
Mitch, stand right next to Chase. You stay back.
How Cole would have wanted to be here this day to play with his cousins.
But I know that Cole would want us to be here for Tyson and Austin and the whole team.
A match so important.
There's your chance.
Caliche couldn't let it end without a win. With their fists held high, reaching to the heavens, Cole's parents knew their son was reaching back.
It's been a long year. It's been a hard year.
This was about more than a win.
He was with us.
It was about family, community, the person they loved, and ultimately, the person they lost.
I love you guys. I love you so much.
This was for Cole.
I knew they could do it. I knew they could do it.
With photojournalist Chris Hansen, this is Kevin Torres, 9 News.
Yes, those are great moon shots.
Around the time the moon rests its sleepy head,
Ooh, oh, there we go.
and the early morning sun rises from a well-rested nap,
Gorgeous light.
a perfect blend of day and night mixed together, creating a perfect canvas
Well, they're just kind of cold and sleepy.
for a photographer to capture with their lens.
It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
This is a sight no one wants to miss.
It's like, what are they doing? And all of a sudden, one will come through, and the whole thing will go, ah, and they'll start screeching.
They follow the sun as it yawns over the mountains,
The light, oh my gosh, the light is amazing in the morning.
breathing new life into the afternoon and bringing new scenery with them.
This is excellent. The view, the birds, there's just thousands of them. We're so jazzed. It's
Totally awesome. They're a really unusual bird.
Come on, get it. Come on.
They tend to make this really weird noise.
What does it sound like?
Not exactly musical, no.
Well, I had one lady describe it as something prehistoric.
That noise might be unique, but their dance?
It's part of their mating ritual.
Well, that's something else.
Dance around, look at that. Oh my goodness, oh yeah. There you go.
They're just like us. Some of them don't get along with the others. They'll select their mates and they'll leave from here and then they disperse.
As the afternoon fades into the evening,
I'm guessing there's probably 5,000 total over all the different fields.
dark dots dash through the blue mountain sky.
And the sky will just be blacked out with birds.
If there was a sight more beautiful than the ones you've already seen, this will be it.
And the mountain backdrop, this is too good.
A cloud of cranes intertwine mid-flight with other species, creating something you can only see a few times a year.
All seem to commingle very nicely.
This is what they refer to as heaven on earth.
Maybe we should learn something from that.
In Monte Vista, this is Kevin Torres,
Love it.
9 News.